Okay, dear Matsons, my kid was caught cheating at school and doesn't seem sorry about it. How do I let him know how serious this is so a pattern doesn't develop? Sincerely worried and concerned.
Okay, so we just want to give you 3 simple things to make sure that you address here. 1, you're going to have a conversation about the why, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. It's important to have consequences, and then we're going to talk about the check-in. You like how they're all 3s?
Yeah, 3 C's.
The 3 C's. Okay.
Yeah, well, to the first, really considering the conversation. Remember as a parent that behaviors are symptoms of a deeper belief, right? I love fly fishing and I love being on the river, and it's amazing when we were first when I took you on the river on the Deschutes for a special trip, just you and I remember you pointing out that the whitewater was indicative of things that were happening below, and it was just like, as a person that's self-guiding us down 43 river miles, I'm always looking far down the way because you're going to be there before you know it. But I just love the fact that that surface tension, the whitewater, is reflective of what's beneath. And that's so true. There's boulders, there's rocks and different shapes within the bottom of the river, the riverbed, that create all of the turbulence on top. And that's what's going on in our kids' lives. Your son is cheating. Why? And exploring that with him. Like, what are the underlying issues? What would cause you to do that? And let's talk about that. Are you afraid of something? Are you afraid of not succeeding? And are you having a hard time reading or processing numbers? And, let's talk about it. And it's an invitation for a conversation to reveal the root level issues, the structure beneath that it's creating this behavior.
So you're really actually inviting your kid to be honest with you, and that requires us as parents to slow down and to listen. And so here's how I would say it to one of our daughters or son, if we had a son, to say, hey, you cheated, and we've got to talk about your consequence for this. But honestly, I'm more concerned about why you did this, and I want to better understand. So let's talk. I'm going to be a good listener, and it may shape a little bit about how the consequence goes, but let's start here. So it requires me to mirror back what I'm hearing, to maybe validate, like, yeah, you feel a lot of pressure and you feel like you need to get A's because you're thinking about college or whatever the cultural issue is for your child. Get to the root. And then you're going to talk about the consequences, because if your son doesn't really care and thinks, no big deal, what's the harm? It's not hurting anyone. You've got to make it stick. And so being able to talk about how our choices impact others. So there's a lot of creative ways that you can think about consequences. It can be anything from, now they've got to read a book and write a paper, more schoolwork, lucky you. And we're going to have a conversation about that book on integrity, or maybe on education and the value of education, or maybe you guys are going to go serve in the community and help them see the value of education. Or maybe I could give up a bunch of ideas, but I want you to think creatively. And actually, it can help sometimes if your kid's a little bit older to ask them, what do you think is the appropriate consequence? Even just writing an apology letter to their teacher and anybody else involved to take ownership, that feels like a significant consequence for some children to be able to actually bring closure and repair to their choices.
But you want this the consequences to kind of fit the crime, right? And that's kind of a bigger principle that you're speaking to right now. Don't have this consequence be so inequitable that it's ridiculous. Have it fit, right? So that it really is tied next time.
Or minimize it.
Next time they're in that environment, they're going to think of that consequence because it's tied to the specific example that got them there.
Yeah, but I'm saying don't minimize it either. Sorry, I interrupted you there. But the not minimizing it, so that, so you cheated. This was really hard. I understand you have a lot of pressure. We forgive you. And now we move on. So don't skip that consequence. There does need to be some sort of effect here. And then that last one is check-in. Don't let that be the last conversation you had. So check in a few weeks, a few months, maybe even a few years. You're going, how you doing? How you doing since you last cheated? And to give your kid a chance to kind of reflect and to go, you know what? I've been tempted several times, and here's what I've done instead. or you know what, to be able to have an honest conversation about maybe a pattern that has built, and so now you've got to keep addressing it.
Look for ways to affirm them
That's
too
exactly.
in that moment. I mean, especially if they did the hard work of repairing where that needed to happen. In the check-ins, affirm. Let's talk about when you felt that desire again and you chose to regulate that impulse, had self-control, and just put down the best answer that you could if that was the cheating. Doesn't go into description as to how the cheating took place, but affirmation goes a long way to supporting that good feeling inside that when you do score a certain score and you earned it and you worked hard, that needs to be celebrated. And that's where cheating falls short at all times, because it never comes from a real place.
Yeah, there's no shortcuts in life that are worth anything. And we just are wanting to bring that to the forefront of every family value. It's to teach our kids that going in a path of integrity is worth it in the long run. The short run, it might be simple to cheat, but in the long run, that is where the real fruit comes in our life. So this is a toughie in terms of a real clear pathway for you. We've given you a lot to think about. But overall, we trust that you are the right parent for the job, and we are here cheering you on.